Lord, Lord of heaven and earth and all that is created, Lord, we come to you for counsel and from your word, and give us instruction tonight. Lead us by your Spirit and help us to carry on your work. Thank you for feeding us with the bread of heaven, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, we are in Revelation chapter 7, and concerning angels, we talked about this is just the designated angels. It says, Craig, we're going to start with you. It says, after this I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth, so that no wind would blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree.
Okay, so we're talking about 4 angels.
Yep.
Standing in the 4 corners of the earth. So I'm assuming north, south, east, west.
Yep.
And they're instructed to hold back the 4 winds of the earth, which I'm assuming coming from the north, south, east, west. So that no wind would blow over the earth at all.
Right. So, first off, this is an incredible amount of power to restrain the wind. So, what effect is this going to have when they restrain the wind?
There's no wind will blow on the earth at all, so it's going to be pretty hot, pretty dry.
Right. So the thing is, there'd be temperature differences. Certain places would be hot. Certain places would be colder. What else?
Could be destructive.
In what way? Destructive.
If it's very strong wind.
What's that?
If it's very strong wind.
No, there's no wind.
Oh, yeah. If there were winds, if there's no wind, then there wouldn't be destruction.
Well, there is going to be a destruction because there's no wind. What? Well, so the thing is, what you'd have is air problems, right? Because the thing is that if trees produce oxygen and the cities produce lots of carbon dioxide, so all of a sudden breathing and respiratory things would be very difficult.
It'd be like you're in a room full of stale air.
Right.
It would be like...
Yep. And the thing is that what would happen is that the sea would have no waves, right? So they'd have no currents, no movement. So things would, gases that come out and things rotting. So the thing is, what happens is if you have things rotting, they blow away and dissipate.
It's probably, we take certain things for granted.
Yeah.
And the wind is one of the, all the things that it does for the earth.
Yeah.
And God's, creation and how it works together. If that's gone, then things, don't work right.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to figure out, what doesn't work right. So you don't have any renewable energy, right?
No energy, because the
windmills
are out, and also the ocean. If the ocean's not moving, then they're not getting power from that either.
Yeah, there's no...
Niagara Falls would be done with. Yeah.
Well, Niagara Falls is a different...
That's not wind. Yeah.
That's not caused by wind.
But tides, too.
Yeah, the tides would be a little odd. Just think about that there's just flat out there. Okay? Also, the pollination wouldn't take place. If it's contact pollination that uses the wind.
It could be rain, could be affected quite a bit because of the water not being evaporated from the ocean to create, storms and water in the atmosphere.
Yep. Yeah, so they would create a whole dilemma with that. So this basically, I had somebody calculate it for me, but basically it's the energy, if it was at 22 miles per hour wind over the whole face of the whole earth, it'd be 2.9 times 10 to the 18th joules of energy. Okay, which is really easy to understand, right? Got that? It'd be like 46 million Hiroshima atomic bombs. So this is what they're holding back. All that wind, all that movement, because the wind is created a lot by I think it's created by the earth movement and the rotation of the earth and the sun and stuff like that. So they're restraining that power.
When you're talking about atomic bombs, too, I was thinking about natural disasters, too, like a volcano or something.
Yeah.
Where all that ash and stuff wouldn't dissipate and blow away.
Right.
It's just going to hang there.
Exactly. Everything's just going to hang there. It isn't going to dissipate because the wind isn't moving. So that's... but what happens is that, it says in verse 2, and I saw another angel ascending from the rising of the sun, having the seal of God. And he cried out with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea. Okay.
3 goes into it more.
Well, you want to do 3, it says, and saying, do not harm the earth or the sea or the tree until you have sealed the bond servants of our God on their forehead.
Yeah, so that's what they're getting ready. So,
So-
so they're not supposed to harm the earth. Well, let's say 4 angels. Do not harm the earth and the sea. But then they're supposed to put the marks on our foreheads. And so,
Who's putting the marks?
told them to do it. Until it's done.
It doesn't say who does
It
it.
says, do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees until we have sealed the bond servants of our God.
What does this tell you about angels?
Huh?
Tell me about the interaction of the angels.
They're not supposed to harm the earth. They're supposed to hold back
Now we have this angel. It's called another angel. What does he do with the other 4 angels?
He's doing the talking, yeah.
He's talking to them to not do something, right?
Not harm the earth.
Which means what? Why didn't the other angels know that?
Because they're busy holding back the wind.
They haven't started yet, remember?
Well,
They're about to.
they're about to.
Or they're just getting ready.
Yeah.
So they can't do any yet. You can't.
So in other words, now they're telling them to stop holding back.
Yeah, so they're about ready to start it. Now, think about this as the interaction of angels. So these 4 angels are about to start it or just started, okay? And another angel comes up to inform them to... Right, which means what do angels know? What are the difference?
They know what they're ordered to do. Yeah.
Right, but they may not know what the other people are doing. Other angels are doing.
Yeah. Oh.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So angels don't know the whole plan.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? They're stopped in the middle of their part of the plan.
Yeah, that's right.
And this other angel tells them to stop.
Yeah.
And do they listen to the other angel?
I don't see if they're listening.
They assume that they do, right? They listen to the other angel.
Yeah, probably that's something they want to do. Yeah.
Right, but angels communicate with one another about the plan of God and have different parts of the plan of God, and they listen to each other.
So
So to somehow think that the angels already know ahead of time, well, you don't have to tell us. We already know this.
but yeah, we read ahead. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, now that it's put in Revelation, I guess they don't have to tell them.
I mean, somehow they have to be. This angel will have to inform them when the 144,000 are sealed, right?
Well, that's who. Yeah.
Because that's who that is. So.
Oh, okay. Bond servants. Oh, servants. Yeah.
So I'm confused. It says they have the power to harm the earth and the sea.
Yeah.
These 4 angels, right?
Yeah.
And they're told not to. So we just went through, if you hold back the wind, you're essentially harming the earth.
Right. So
So is it to say, hey, you guys are
Well, don't
starting
do it
too
yet.
early, let the wind blow again?
yeah.
So they gotta wait until the seals are done.
Well, how long are they going to wait?
Shouldn't take that long. I don't know.
The sealing done. It's not the seals. It's different.
Yeah, the thing on the forehead.
Right. Sealing. Yeah. Because remember, there's seal judgments. That's a different.
Oh no, but these are the good guys. Yeah. So.
No, seal judgments. You have the seals where they break the seals. There's the first
but
group.
it said,
The seal of God on their forehead. Yeah.
yeah, sealed on the bond servants. Yeah.
So what happens is that you have in chapter... now again, remember the other creatures weren't allowed to harm the trees and everything, but in chapter 9, verse 15, this may be them again. 9:15. It says, and the four angels who had been prepared for the hour and the day and the month and the year were released, so they would kill a third of mankind. It could be them, okay, because it says who had been prepared for the hour and the day and the month and the year. But then it says they were released. That's a little different. The number's the same, but it seems to be they carry on a different function. Okay?
So in verse or chapter 7, is it like they had this, they were given this task, right?
Yeah.
You guys go hold back the wind, but they almost like started too early?
Like they have to pause them, yeah. Right.
Who jumped their gun? I mean, what made them think they should do it now? I mean, didn't God tell them the right way to do it? Did they screw it up or what?
I know, you tell me. It's your verse. Your two verses.
Well, I understand. I mean, they don't make mistakes. I mean, it's like, well, what are they all of a sudden? Oh, we read this wrong. I mean, we got to do this first.
Right. I don't think they have a script necessarily. They just said you're assigned. I mean, you're assigned. Okay, Jay, you take care of the recorders and get me online. What?
Don't start recording until you preach.
Right, yeah. Or what happens is that you get to figure out in the process how you're going to do that, right?
Yeah, it's like the beginnings and the end.
Yeah, but you understand is that that's what it seems like the angels do. They have this task. Yours is to harm the earth and the tree, and you're to hold back the wind.
Yeah.
But then the other angel says, no, he's informing us that the reason why it didn't start earlier is because of the servants of God.
Yeah, they had to be marked up first.
Right. They're the ones who restrain why it isn't as bad as it is. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why. I think he's just informing us that this is the reason why. It's almost the same thing when God says, I should just wipe you guys all out, but I'm not. Okay? So they are going to release, because it's not going to take very long, I don't think, that the 144,000 are sealed.
No.
So
But ultimately,
they'll know. Go ahead.
ultimately, this responsibility to hold back the wind and all that came from God.
Right, yeah. He empowers.
Tells a high angel, and that high angel tells.
I don't know how that part works. We're trying to figure out like how they interact. It's interesting is because they're told to do something. They're given a responsibility, an area of responsibility that they're supposed to hold back the thing, but then it's paused for a short time. And the thing is that, so what's going to happen is the realization is that the benefit, they know the 144,000 are sealed. How will they know that, Jay?
Once it's done, well, you don't look at their heads. They'll just
I mean, how will the world know that the 144,000 are sealed?
by the world will know by what they see in their heads.
No, when the four angels,
Oh, well, when the four
angels start holding back the wind.
They know they're sealed.
So all of a sudden it'll be like a sign. They'll know, oh, boom. Now all of a sudden, the normal wind is all stopped. Why? Because the servants are sealed.
144,000, they'll be able to still breathe and stuff, or they're going to get out of there.
It's just going to make it harder, breathing.
Oh, even for them. Oh.
Well, they're sealed. Remember, they got special protection. So
Oh, good.
you just realize breathing may not be impossible. The thing is, just people who have respiratory issues are going to have more issues, right? Stinky, stale air. You can still breathe stinky, stale air, but it's not really,
Oh.
Remember, this is the time of judgment. So, all right. Any more on this? Do not harm the earth or the sea or the tree until the seal, bond servant of God. It just tells us where they get marked, right? They get marked on their forehead. Now, we realize too is the duplicate is followed. Remember, what follows this is the mark of the beast. What's the difference between the mark and the seal? Jay Ewing.
Well, I think there's going to be a clear distinction between the two. We're not 100% sure. I don't think. We know that the mark on the forehead is, well, you would say his number, 666, if that's indeed
Right. Some sort of mark.
Some distinguishing mark. The seal was like when in verse 1 it said or verse 2 it said the angel coming had a seal of the living God. It's like, like if you're a professional engineer or a notary, you have a seal, right?
Yeah.
You crimp something, and it's a very distinct mark.
Right.
You can't counterfeit it.
Yeah.
And so that mark is very distinct. If you look at it, you know what it is.
So that is an authorization. That's to authenticate.
Yeah, it's like a certification
Right.
that you're legit.
So, with the sealing of the servants that this angel brings, the seal of the living God is to authenticate that these are his true servants. Okay? What sealing also protects or guarantees as well. So it authorizes. Yeah.
So this is, I'm a little fuzzy on the chronology.
Yeah.
This is like it's just the 144,000 under converts on earth, right? Or
It's just 144,000 at this point.
because raptures will generally accept between chapter 2 and chapter 3, right?
Yeah.
And then it's 144,000, and they're converts.
What? Check chapter 4, chapter 2 and 3, but 4.
So
Then you have the seal. Then you have the thing in heaven. Then you have the seal judgments that start.
okay, so these guys are, they're getting ready to do their thing, and they're stopped for a second while they finish doing the sealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, so what happens after they're sealed is the earth starts getting harmed by the wind.
Yeah, but they're fully protected.
Yeah, they're protected to some degree. It just shows you that they're sealed in the sense. I mean, the harm they're being protected from God's harm.
Well, that's what I like. The whole idea is the seal is like it's for the purpose of protecting them from what's coming. Like that's the hang on while we give them fireproof suits so the house gets the bake.
Yeah.
Type thing, or hang on.
Somehow they're
You guys are going to get the gases. Give me a second. Let everyone get their masks on. Type idea.
So it's also describing their salvation
Sure.
as well as their service.
Yeah, I think. It almost seems like do not harm the earth or the seas or the trees until we have sealed the bondservants of our God on their foreheads. So how I read it is, let us make sure everyone is marked that are children of God. Not let's hurry up and finish the last converts or something.
Yeah, this seems very divinely
It's not like we got
picking.
80 more to
This is not. We're not like they're not like being announced. It's like they come to know.
I think the conversions are still happening, and that's part of like this.
I think it's happening in a short period of time.
This sealing process is pretty fast.
Yeah, it appears to be very fast.
Like hours, same day,
Days, couple days, a week maybe or something like that. It seems like this is again God's election in full,
This is,
like override.
they didn't go and decide they wanted to be sealed.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, that's where you see this. It's just like, this is how many there are. It's not like, well, we'll wait to see how many people really want to be part of this, special Jewish community. And
So the idea of having the seal of the living God, that's actually the sealing tool, kind of. Having the seal of the living God. It's not reading he was sealed. It's reading he had the ability to seal with the seal that he had. It's kind of like he had the
You
thing,
mean the angel, you mean?
the angel.
Yeah.
He has the seal,
Yeah.
which seals.
Right.
He has the toolbox.
Right, so he's using it as,
Like he's got the ring for the wax.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're the ones sealed with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's got the.
He's going to go around and mark them
right.
with his seal.
Are these 144,000 people congregating in Israel, or are they over the world?
It doesn't say. It tells you all the tribes, but we don't even know how that's going to be. So angels could move fast, but
So that's what they're thinking about, right? Like the letter seals when they wrote this. You know, like the
yeah. So the difference between a mark is like a branding iron, like a tattoo. So what happens is the other one is just to say you belong to me. Okay. The seal says you belong to me, but you're special, you're saved. You understand? It has a more honorable designation.
This is a physical. You're physically
Identified.
identified.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like It's not like these fake tattoos you get that after 2 days they wash off. Right?
No.
This is like permanent.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be visible. I don't think it has to be visible because and I think what happens is the mark of the beast, see, is a mimic of it. You understand what I mean? I think this is the authentic seal, and then he comes up with a duplicate to mark,
that would fit.
and he gives you and that's normal, and then he gives you the easy option if you want it on your hand. You don't like it on your forehead. God doesn't give you that option because he wants it right up front. And you're going to see it. So, because it makes the point that it's on their forehead. Okay, it's not like mystical where you can't see it. It's only the angels or the creatures out of the abyss can see it.
Developed a secret
Or you
handshake.
need the black light to see it.
Yeah, or some. I think this is just authentic. I don't know what it is, but the thing is that, so that's. So see on their forehead, and verse 7, Kim, it says, and I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed from every tribe. So this is just a simple thing. What does it tell you?
That this first group of people who are going to be God's number, 144,000. And they're from all the tribes of Israel, so there are 12 tribes, and so
Are they sealed at this point?
yeah, they were.
Yep.
They were sealed. It's
Yeah.
who were sealed.
Right. So this is the thing is the angel said, "Stop until I seal them." Boom, they're sealed at this time. Verse 5, they're sealed. However long that really is, doesn't seem very long. Okay, but they're sealed. And so
somebody must have said it so that John heard it, right?
Yep.
He heard this number.
yep, it's right. He heard the number of those who were sealed, and then he heard all of this explained about them. There's only one in verse 11 on angels, but it's and all the angels were standing around the throne and around the elders and the four living creatures, and they fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God. And what they're doing is, in verse 10, it talks about salvation to our God, his whole salvation plan in redeeming what? These Israelites, these Jewish people. I mean, we don't even know the tribes now. He's going to know. Somehow they're going to be identified.
Yeah, I
Okay?
was thinking about that. I mean, I guess back.
And he's already organized them in and keeps them in the same, tribal connection.
I mean, I would think if you ask a normal Jewish person today, they're not going to know what.
No, they don't. They don't have any records. So this is going to have to be divine insight, I would assume. So, but he picks. They're still all included. There's some that aren't in there, like Dan is not in there, and then Manasseh and Ephraim is.
Well, they're Joseph.
What?
They're Joseph.
In Joseph's, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're.
How come Dan isn't in there? Is there 12? Did you count them?
Yeah.
They mentioned 12.
Yeah, it's just that what happens is you have this Levi. You have the issue with Levi, and then you have Manasseh and Ephraim and stuff like that. So
Manasseh took Dan's place.
yeah, it seems like it. Yeah, it's kind of a strange because it doesn't come up with the same normal Old Testament 12 tribes.
Was Manasseh?
That was half of Joseph. It was
Yeah.
Manasseh and Ephraim were the two from Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah, but what about So, but Joseph's mentioned, right? No, it wasn't.
Joseph's mentioned in the list.
Yeah, but Ephraim is too. So
So what about Dan?
they're not in there.
He's cut.
Yeah, he's got cut.
Dan was that?
There's a whole bunch of speculation why they were cut. I have no idea.
Dan is what's her name? The uglier girls. The veil lady. I'm drawing a blank. Not Rachel. Leah.
Leah?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uglier. She was ugly. It's just comparison. She is uglier.
All right, that's for a different study. We're studying angels tonight. Okay, so you can look on the whole Revelation.
Dan is missing. That's what
Yeah, you have to look at that. Let's go to chapter 12, Revelation 12. Remember, we got to keep focused. We're only doing angels, not doing the whole book of Revelation. So, all right, Ann, here we go. Great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars.
So, you're asking who does that represent, the woman?
Yeah, who do you think it?
Either the church, maybe the Church of God represented, and crown of 12 stars, maybe 12 tribes.
Do you remember the dream of Joseph? Do you remember Joseph's dream?
Yeah.
That he told his brothers and they're all happy about it, and his mom and dad were happy?
No.
Yeah. Remember what the dream was?
Yeah, they bowed down before him.
How did he describe them? Your voice sounds like Jay. I can hear Jay's voice, but he described them as the sun and the moon and the 12 stars would all bow down. So it seems to connect to that event. This seems to be Israel. The woman is Israel, yeah. Okay. Clothed with sun and the moon and her moon under her feet. But it's Israel seems to be the connection. Okay. And it's in Genesis 37:9. So.
And the 12 stars was the 12 tribes.
Yeah. So.
Is that like a contested, or that's a pretty unanimous conclusion? Obviously there's lots of people that...
You have to describe what unanimous is. That's it for a different study. You can look into that. You'll see how it picks up that I think the context easily fits Israel, because we're going to go to verse 2. And she was with child, and she cried out, being in labor and in pain to give birth. Hope?
What do you want me to answer?
So what does it talk about?
What does this mean?
She as a child, I could explain, I'll give you a different one, but it says basically she was with child, Israel was with child, and she cried out being in labor and pain. She gives birth to the Messiah. Okay? That's what this is talking about. Now this is where we get into more stuff, angels. Then another sign appeared in heaven. So we got another sign. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads were 7 diadems. What does this tell us about this angel?
This angel.
Is it an angel?
What form it's appearing as a dragon.
Yeah. What is the idea of a dragon?
A monster.
Monster has a serpent effect to it, a serpent connection.
Yeah, and then I don't know why it has 7 heads and 10 horns. Should have
Yeah, this is a little hard to understand. The 7 heads could be consecutive world empires like Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia. This is kind of symbolic. Greece, Rome, and the revised Roman Empire.
He's understanding that that's what they're saying. Like, if that makes sense. Like, because having 7 heads, he's describing it. So how did we get the 7 heads?
Because it actually tells you some of them.
Okay.
Like actually it says, let's see, Revelation 13:1, it says, "And the dragon stood on the sand of the seashore, and I saw a beast coming up out of the sea having 10 horns and 7 heads, and on his head are 7 diadems, and they're blasphemous." And then he goes in, then it tells us, this is what's harder to get all this stuff in. 9. Revelation 17:9. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Okay?
7 heads are
So
7 mountains on which the woman sits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Verse 10, read verse 10 really.
And there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the others have not yet come. When he comes, he must remain for a while. That's a little different, but
It's like the 6th one will be the current Roman Empire when this book was written.
yeah. This is a revised Roman Empire
It kind
time.
of follows the Daniel timeline.
Yeah.
The whole, like, when you've got the statue.
Yeah, because it says,
Nebuchadnezzar, like,
yeah.
like the statue he had, or
Yeah.
the head was
So,
the gold, silver, bronze.
so this is the one in Daniel. Daniel chapter
There's Dan. We were looking for Dan.
7:24. So as for the 10 horns, out of this 10 kingdoms will arise. So from the time of Daniel, 10 kingdoms arise. He's in the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, so just the major kingdoms that develop. Mainly, I just trying to get back to the whole idea of who, more of a description. So just a sign, behold, is like pay attention to something significant going on. So there's this great red dragon. So, I don't know why he's called red. Somehow it's describing, maybe he got burnt in the whole thing with Ezekiel 28. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's old now, but red is like a ferocious color too. It's more of a bold.
Right, it could be that type of a thing, but so it's giving you a description of this cosmic war between Satan and the Messiah. This is what this is kind of developing, and it's in this symbolic language. But as you pick it up, you'll see there's more of the pieces that it just explains it.
Kind of like a riddle, kind of, but not.
Right, but so you have to go back to Daniel to get this, like the 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems.
And the 10 horns are like the 10 toes, right? The kings of the 10 kings of the earth, kind of.
Yeah. Well, the 10 kings that operate on the mountains related to there's some sort of a union that takes place at the end. At the end, yeah.
Revised Roman Empire.
Yeah.
10 kings that seem to sit under the Antichrist.
Right, but how they're going to develop is
Not clear.
yeah.
So,
But the end times. But again, we're not trying to develop as much that. What does it mean, Hope, related to the 10 kings and the 7 horns with the great serpent?
Say one more time?
Why is it related? Let's say, for instance, these are 10 kingdoms and progressive kingdoms that have taken place. How does that relate to the great red dragon?
Most evil ones? I don't know.
He's controlling them.
Okay.
You understand? So he has a controlling element. Not that God is out of control, but he is. This is part of his network.
Okay.
Okay? He's involved in all of these. Even Nebuchadnezzar, God saves Nebuchadnezzar, but you realize this is how he's operating. So part of the cosmic battle is against these kingdoms as well, that he is trying to influence and bring about on the earth. That's mainly just the angelic part. Elisha, verse 4, and his tail swept away 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to earth, and the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that she gave birth, he might devour her child.
Wow.
Okay?
Okay. So we're still going with the red dragon is Satan.
Yeah.
Okay.
we're going to find out that it's describing him later on as Satan.
Okay, sorry if I gave that away. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's spoiler alert, right? Yeah.
A third of the stars. Okay.
So he has a tail, seems to be.
Yep.
And what he does, he sweeps away the stars of heaven.
Yep.
What's that?
Third.
Whose are the stars of heaven?
The angels?
Yeah, these are fallen angels. If this seems to be fallen angels. This is the best of two verses that these are probably fallen angels. We don't know for sure, but this gives an idea. The hard part about this is that the timing of it, like how it describes it here. But if you see the broader picture, it's not as difficult. But if you see this right close to the birth of Christ, it seems kind of odd. It'd be like he swept them away just before Jesus came. But I think it's just more talking about how Satan brings these fallen angels. They go to earth, and the dragon tries to destroy the child.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Which is Christ who comes from the nation of Israel.
So is he like having a temper tantrum?
Not yet. He's going to have...
It's
I mean, what,
spoiler alert.
if he... So I always, when he sweeps them to the earth, are they like out of commission, or is he just...
Well, I think this is the first general thing, is that this is where they're evicted, the first eviction. This is what I think is, okay? But it's hard to tell. But this looks like the first one where they're booted out of heaven. And the angels fall with him, and Satan falls. This is kind of like you were talking about before. This is before the garden. Okay, I think it is.
But who's doing the sweeping?
Satan is.
Why? Because he wants companionship?
He just brings them along with him. They rebel with him.
He wants help.
They just join the rebellion.
It almost seems like he swept them away so that he could have them under his control.
Yeah, he influenced them because...
Who sweeps Satan?
The red dragon.
No, he is the red dragon.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't sweep.
It was
I mean, why
found.
would Satan go after
Unrighteousness
his
is found in
his kingdom won't stand.
He's not going after him. He's just sweeping.
Somebody is.
What?
We meant he just kind of going to the earth.
Right.
He's knocking him down with him, but he's just kind of...
Yeah, they're in his wake.
But then.
Otherwise, if this is not about fallen angels, we don't have any record of any of the angels ever falling.
No, okay, so he's not getting kicked out. They're just kind of going there. Okay.
Well, if they go with him, then these are the demons.
Yeah. So,
All right?
aren't they always on earth anyway?
What?
Aren't they always on earth anyway?
No, this is
How'd they get to
this
earth?
is the beginning.
They knock themselves down.
That's what that
He's
is.
saying this is
He's
the only bird.
illustrating this is the first time that Satan fell
Yeah.
with
Oh.
the angels.
Before Christ birth.
Yes.
So you actually have to like back this up and
That this is the panoramic view. So what happens is you have the child, Israel. So you have the whole Israel history. Then you back it up and you see the red dragon, and then you see him sweep the angels away. Okay? It's another sign. Okay? Then you see these like snapshots, like first this one, and then that one, and then helps you to understand why is there this battle going on. So that's what we're picking up.
So, okay, so this is already happened.
Yeah, it already happened, yeah.
Oh.
This is I think it's already happened. Okay? But his intention is what? His intention with his angels and the earth is to destroy the Christ child. That's what his intentions are.
So one could almost read into this verse, and it almost seems like the demons might not have a choice. Like, obviously, I think they did, but if he did the sweeping, like, are they, if we were...
He's a powerful influencer.
Yes, I agree with you, but I mean, someone could say that if he's sweeping, he's doing the sweeping,
Yeah.
kind of like how God's doing the saving type thing. I don't know.
He has it just means stated that they came with him in his wake of rebellion. Okay, Paul, and she gave birth to a son and a male who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. See, this is what you get Messiah. And her child was caught up to God and his throne. I mean, that's a lot of time period, right? It's the whole birth of Christ. Paul, tell us.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean this is covering some ground.
Right. So it's the birth of Christ.
I mean, it starts like verse 3 to 4. That's the fall, of Satan. That predates the fall of man.
Right. Remember, the reason I think it's only describing why there is this, whole heavenly, earthly battle going on. Why is...
So it jumps from, it's kind of going through a couple of the seas here.
Yeah.
We got...
Right. It's not just following history, it's following history related to the conflict.
Yeah. You got creation, and then verse 5, you've got Christ.
Yeah.
And...
We had the covenants, because you have the whole...
Yeah, cross.
Yep, that covers the cross.
A child was caught up to God, and that's his ascension.
Yeah, that's his ascension.
Yeah, see that right into God,
Right. So we see it's jumping really fast because it's giving us these details because now all of a sudden, Marinella, I think we're already into the tribulation. It says Revelation 12:6, then the woman fled into the wilderness where she was prepared by God so that she would be nourished for 1,260 days. Tell us about that.
I guess the woman is going to be Israel.
Yep. The woman's Israel. How much is 1,260 days? How many years is that? 3.5 years. This is the last of the, this is half of the tribulation.
So that has to be like the bad part of the tribulation.
I think it's the end part of the tribulation. So what happens is that, so it's giving you these like chunks. Boom. Because what you're going to find out is that he is like mad. Like, this is interesting, is that Satan can become more mad more angry than he already is. And then we're going to find out, why is he so angry? Well, he's tried to destroy Christ and couldn't do it, right?
He tried many times.
And now he goes after the woman, and what? He can't do that either.
Yeah.
So she's in protection, because in verse 6, and we're going to get to the war in heaven, but she's protected. And he is going now. So he tries to destroy the plan, right? Now he can't get to the woman. Now he's going to get tossed to the earth, and then he's going to go after everybody else that has any love for God and Christ.
You know what it is because you know this is the...
Right, because he knows it's close to the end, yeah. So this is 3.5 years, so he can't get to her.
I could see him getting even more angry because he's...
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we'll get...
history, I guess,
This is what he is after. This is the battle raging between the promised Messiah and her who brought her forth, and Satan and his angels. Yeah, Hope.
Was he really that delusional? Like, that he's going to actually think that he's going to win? Like, after all that he...
When you get angry, When you get angry, are you thoughtful?
Angry for how long? Like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't take the time to think and be like, well, God's got me every single time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's still fighting for something that's never going to happen.
Whatever. He is. Evil is delusional. Even itself is delusional because pride always thinks, what? You can win.
I think he knows he's going to win this, but he wants to take as many of us down.
Yeah. So you have that other element is that he wants to take away honor from God, whatever he can.
Well, that's the idea. I think it exemplifies the sinful mindset.
Yeah.
Because he does know he's not going to win. What does the demon say? Have you come to torment us before the time when we for sure will lose? Have you come to quicken our losing? No, he didn't. So they know that, but like Romans 1, right? Like
suppress the truth and unrighteousness.
Suppress the truth and say right, wrong, wrong. right's wrong's right, but it's like, that's the evil mindset.
Yeah.
Like, you keep kicking against it, even though you're going to lose, you know you're going to lose.
It's like people saying, well, if God's that way, I don't want to serve him. Well, do you really have an option? Right? You either got to serve him or you're going to be punished.
Sure.
Right? I mean, people think they can outwit God's sovereignty.
Yeah.
Are you really going to do that? Like, somehow you're going to get away with something?
Like, what is the cartoon where the guy always loses, but he has a new hair-braiding scheme every time? I forget. There's one where he like tries every time, and it's a new scheme, and he loses every time. But
that's the.
That
yeah.
One, there's one.
Yeah, the Roadrunner and.
Yeah, they lose every Roadrunner. Yeah, he tries it every time. A million per way.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The women in the wilderness, is that the 144,000, or do we? I mean,
I don't think so. I think it could include some of them.
It is like
it's
portion of Jews that are true believers that are being protected.
Yeah, they're going to be preserved probably for the millennial kingdom.
So is that so? Because I don't think it's clear where this is chronologically. Like, maybe you're saying it's in the tribulation, is how you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
the last 3.5 years, because it uses that designation.
So the last 3.5 years.
It doesn't seem like the first one.
So this isn't. This is where they like flee north or flee from the city.
Yeah.
Is that account with that? That's in Matthew, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Matthew 24.
Okay.
I think.
So where they run for the hills and says, "Woe to you."
This is what it seems to be, is that, and then they're protected. It's going to tell us about their protection. Okay. A little bit. Craig. And there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels warring with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels waged war.
Okay, I think we're going back again.
Yeah.
To Satan's fall.
Maybe, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think this is stage 2.
Stage 2.
Which means that, but just explain what you see here. So
there's obviously a war between Satan and his angels and Michael and the rest of the angels.
Where was the war at?
In heaven.
Okay. And who is Michael?
An angel, the archangel.
Yeah, we'll find out more about him. He has angels, and what is he? He leads a war.
Right.
What does it tell you about angels?
They can fight.
Fight. So how do you fight when you don't die?
I mean, just keep fighting until one of you give up.
Okay. So this is one of those dilemmas. It's just like, okay, there's a war that's taking place, and then what happens is it seems like the angels help to fight after Michael and them start. So first, Michael and his angels, that's the first group, wage war with the dragon. Okay? And the reason why is that he is thrown down and excluded from heaven after this. So it appears to be like, in Job, he has access because he has access to do what?
Communicate with God.
To accuse the brethren, right? To accuse believers. So Satan still has, could you imagine we're going to go to heaven if it happens before this, and we're going to have to listen to, I don't know if we have to listen to him complaining about all the Christians on the earth or whatever. Can you imagine could we get this over with? As you'll find out, they'll be glad when it happens. But it ain't going to be happy for the earth, though.
But so implied is the dragon he was down on the earth when he was trying to get the woman. Right?
Yeah.
So he's got to go back up to heaven with whatever of his fallen angels that didn't get swept down to the earth are there, right?
It appears to be like the one in Chronicles that there's evil spirits or the sons of God. Primarily we see that he comes in Job 1 and 2. So he seems to have access to accuse the brethren, because that's what it talks about. that he accuses the brethren day and night, stuff like that. He doesn't. So that's all stopped. So right now he has access. I mean, limited access. He doesn't stroll into the room, this throne room anytime he wants. It doesn't appear to be that way. But he has some sort of he stays out in the courtyard or whatever. He has to buzz, to make his complaints.
Does he have access to the heavenly buffet?
Yeah. So, but
Access now.
yeah. That's what I think. So that's why I put this in. This is future. Okay, and the dragon and his angels wage war. So this is a fight back. So somehow in the whole battle, even as strong as they are, they contain one another. So what happens is that their power then doesn't allow them. It restricts their access.
Hey, so you're saying this hasn't happened yet?
Yeah. Has not happened yet. So somehow you imagine the strength, imagine the battle, and then what happens is you have in verse 8, Jay Walker, it says, they were not strong enough, and there is no longer a place found for them in heaven.
The devil is demons were strong enough to handle that.
Right, so somehow it's some sort of strength, or define angel strength, the same angel strength that holds back the wind, and I understand it. This is hard to fathom because I don't know how it's not that it's called a war, so we know what it's like a war, but it's not like war, like killing and hurting and blowing up things. Okay, right?
Yeah, wrestling.
Yeah, it's pushing and sword, but it's swords, but nobody dies. Okay, I don't know how that happened. So, J. Ewing, it says, and the great dragon was thrown down, the serpent of old, who is called the devil and Satan, who deceived the world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels are thrown down with him. Tells us who he is, right?
Yeah, it's pretty clear now that the dragon's Satan, and he lost any access he had.
Yep.
And whatever two-thirds of if they swept a third down earlier, the two-thirds that were left up there are gone now too. So they all got ejected.
So now they're contained to the earth. Now we're going to back up. So we got a little of this battle. Let's go to Michael, where he's mentioned. In Jude 1:8. Is it 1:8? We'll have to start there, yeah. So it's in 1:9. But we got to back up to 1:8 to kind of understand it. Kim, it says, but Michael, the archangel, who was... when he was disputing with the devil and argued about the body of Moses, did not dare pronounce against him a railing judgment, but said, the Lord rebuke you. And this is a lot of stuff to it, okay? Let's just start with the first part. We know that he is one of two angels whose names are mentioned. Right? Okay, what does it tell us about him?
About
Michael.
Michael?
Yeah, Michael.
That you can argue with the devil?
Okay, before that, what's that? Yeah, he argues with...
Disputed with the devil.
What is this archangel thing?
Oh, the Michael, the archangel, he's a special angel.
Right, so arch means chief or ruling angel. Comes from the idea of ruler.
He's a chief, okay. Chief angel. And, yeah.
That's called the ark, A-R-K.
Archangel. Well,
So this means he's a ruling angel. Okay, so yes, so this tells you at least that there's hierarchies. You understand? There's chief ones, there's not chief ones.
yeah.
Right? We also know that they interact with the devil, right?
Right. They can talk to the devil, argue with the devil. But he doesn't rebuke the devil. He lets God do it.
Well, this is going to be an interesting thing, is that he says this to the devil, which is a rebuke in itself. But the style he does is he says, the Lord rebuke you. Okay? we'll see that. Just pause on that one. That's a different subject. But it's kind of hard to understand this, is that he is being compared with verse 8. Yet in the same way, these are false teachers, also by dreaming defile the flesh, reject authority, and revile, blaspheme glories is what it is. This is actually the word blaspheme, and this is the word angels not in there, but they're called glories, which could be a category of angels, grouping of angels, or description of angels. And he's saying here that these guys speak evil of angelic authorities. But even Michael, when he was arguing and disputing with Moses, didn't act like that. Okay? Angels don't even act that way when they're talking to Satan. He's used as a comparative.
I mean, they have every right to, but...
Right. And he doesn't talk that... Angels don't talk that way to even the false teachers. They don't bring... Which is this railing kind of argument... condescending, judgmental type of thing.
Like a lack of reverence.
Yeah, there's some lack of reverence. There's kind of they very much respect authority, and he even respects Satan's has authority. Yeah.
So I've heard that, I forgot who said, but naming and claiming teachers, I used to do the same thing. We were taught that we are to rebuke the devil.
Yeah.
But I since found out that, and someone said, Michael didn't even, he said, the Lord rebukes you. We are not to rebuke, But the name and claim people do it all the time.
Well, and that's the thing is that they're this, people up here, verse 8. Mm-hmm. They rail against even satanic. We're not told to do that.
Yeah, I've heard
it's only when they get into disputes. It means angels actually have disputes with demons and the devil. It's kind of first off, they want the body of Moses. What is that even? Why do you? First off, because I think God commissioned and said he was going to bury Moses, and so Satan somehow wants it. Okay? He doesn't get it. Okay? We're going to find out, and I'll just give you a little spoiler for next week. The word, even the Lord says this. The Lord rebuke you. Okay? This is not talking about, it's a statement. It's in Zechariah where it says, Yahweh rebuke you. And he's talking to Satan. So there's something different about it. It's not that he's exercising his own authority. He is using an aspect of who God is as the authority. Yep.
I just have a quick question. So in John's notes it says that we believers are not to address them, but rather to seek the Lord's intervening power against them. So does that mean that the intervening power is the angels?
No, we just pray to God. We don't talk to them. We don't talk to, we only as believers stand. He comes at us. We're not picking up the Moses' body or whatever.
Right. We don't even know where it is.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? The thing is that it's just this phrase, I think what it means, this is the Lord rebuke you, is just that this is the all-present, all-powerful God who made a covenant with Israel rebukes you. So basically, I have dibs on these people. And I have a right to do that.
So the false leaders who do that, rebuke Satan, they are treading on...
Angels don't even do that yet. Yeah. We'll get to 2 Peter where it talks about how they don't even see that even Satan has an authority. Okay? Whether you like it or not, God just tells you how to overcome, how to win. Yeah. He doesn't tell you that he doesn't have authority.
Right.
the whole point is that God still has allowed that authority, even as ungodly authority in governments and stuff like that. He has allowed a certain amount, but we don't submit to the evil of it, but there's still no reason to be disrespectful, let's put it that way.
So in other words, when they say, we rebuke you, I rebuke you, that's being disrespectful.
It depends on how riling it is. If you think somehow that you have, you are daring and self-willed and don't really tremble at the whole point of it, then I think that tone of it.
At that point, they're operating in that spirit anyways.
Right.
So it's like they're already influenced by the demonic or satanic
Right.
spirit.
Yeah.
So that's actually an expression of that.
Yeah, so the thing is that the whole thing is Christians should follow the example of Michael. He doesn't even dare to do that.
Right.
He doesn't do that, so why do you think it's good for you? And he's an archangel, right? He's an archangel, and he doesn't do that.
Right.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like Paul, remember when he was annoyed by like the forecast girl?
Yeah.
He just went, he turned around, he said, "Get out of her!" You know, like obviously they had a special type of.
Yeah, so the thing is that he was given that authority, but the thing is that, but he even brings up, the Lord rebuking him, so.
No, but when they talk about the rebuking, a lot of them think they are God now too. They're
Right.
claiming to be God with the little G and God.
Yeah.
So
All of them do that. All of them.
God with a little G.
God, yeah.
And see, that's the whole tone of exactly that thing, is that tone is that, I am such authoritative, I could say these things. And it comes across as daring, and how could he even talk that way? It seems like maybe they're more powerful than I think. But it's just self-will. So.
Yeah, like I'm expecting Jesus we know, Paul we've heard of, but who the heck are you?
Yeah.
You know?
All right, so that's